In most conversations, we tend to talk about ourselves, right? Our wins, our stories, our opinions. We think we're connecting, but what's really happening? A lot of the time, we're just signaling that we need their approval. And that right there, completely shifts the power away from us.
But what if I told you there's a mathematical formula to flip that dynamic on its head? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We are breaking down the 50-30-20 conversation code, a super precise framework designed to make you the most magnetic person in any room.
Okay, but before we go any further, a serious warning. This isn't just a party trick. This is a powerful psychological framework. It literally taps into the subconscious radar of the human brain. So the goal here? To use this to build real, genuine connections, not to manipulate people. Let's make sure we're using this for good.
All right, let's jump right in. We're starting with the first, and honestly the most important part of the code. This is the big one, and it's all about making a fundamental shift in where the conversational spotlight is pointing.
They call this the golden half. And the rule is simple. Exactly 50% of any interaction, has to be focused completely on the other person. We're talking their personality, their stories, what makes them tick.
So the whole idea is that you dedicate half, a full half, of your energy to becoming a mirror. You're just reflecting their own ego right back at them. You're creating this space for them to be the star of the show, while you get to play the much more powerful role of the observer.
This taps into a really primal human need. It goes all the way back to the myth of Narcissus. When people see themselves, their thoughts, their feelings, their stories, reflected in your focused attention, they feel incredibly validated. And that builds this super strong, positive connection to you without you saying much at all.
Think about it like this. You're completely changing the power dynamic. You stop being the applicant in the conversation, the one who's trying to impress and get validated. Instead, you become the interviewer, the one who listens, who assesses, and who grants that validation just by paying attention.
All right, now for the next 30%. This part of the code is so cool because it builds on that foundation we just set. It introduces a little bit of, chaos. It shows that your entire universe doesn't just revolve around the person you're talking to.
So 30% of your conversation should be about the world around you. Just spontaneous, random observations that have absolutely nothing to do with you or them. It sounds weird, but trust me.
There's a psychological term for this. It's called environmental anchoring. See, when you randomly comment on your surroundings, you're anchoring yourself to the present moment. It subconsciously tells the other person that you're grounded, you're relaxed, and you're not desperately hanging on their every word just to get their approval.
So this is all about demonstrating a kind of carefree chaos. If you see a weird painting on the wall, point it out. If the music playing is just awful, make a joke about it. The key is to laugh easily and to not get sucked into these heavy, serious debates. It projects this unshakable comfort in your own skin that is just incredibly magnetic.
Okay, here we go. The final piece of the code. And you could argue this is the most powerful part. This is the 20% that you deliberately keep for yourself. And in doing so, you create the most valuable social currency there is, mystery. So when it's finally your turn to talk about yourself, you limit it. You keep it to just 20%. I mean, think about it. In a world where everyone overshares everything, that kind of restraint creates psychological scarcity. And we all know scarcity creates value.
So when someone asks you a direct question, like, so what do you do? Resist that urge to give the boring, robotic resume answer. Instead, be a little playful. You could say something like, whoa, hold on, we just met and you're already interrogating me? It turns this simple question into a fun little game.
This approach just shatters their expectations. Instead of bragging about your successes, maybe you share a funny, self-deprecating story about a dumb mistake you made. By staying just a little bit vague, a little bit mysterious, you become a puzzle they genuinely want to solve. It sparks their curiosity and makes them chase you for information. This simple formula from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? Social attraction equals perceived mystery divided by available information. The less info you just hand over, the more mysterious and attractive you become. It's almost a law of social physics. So let's pull all this together. What's so fascinating is that the 50-30-20 rule didn't come from psychology, it actually came from personal finance. And that analogy is really the key to unlocking its power. I want you to think of your conversation like a budget. That 50% focused on them, that's a need. It's absolutely essential for building rapport. The 30% on the environment, that's a want. It adds fun, it shows you're not needy. And that final 20% on yourself,
That's your savings. That's your opacity, building your long-term social value.
See, when you master this social budget, you flip the entire dynamic. The less you freely give away, the harder other people have to work to get to know you. You stop being the person seeking approval, and you become the prize that they're trying to win.
So that really just leaves us with one final thought. As you think about this whole framework, the 50% ego mirror, the 30% chaos anchor, and the 20% mystery dividend, which part of this social formula really hits home for you? Be honest with yourself. Where have you been getting it wrong?